Not only did the Census Bureau have to count every person in the country in the middle of a pandemic, they also had to deal with potentially dangerous rumors and falsehoods spreading around social media. In response, the Bureau established the Trust and Safety Team that worked internally and with technology leaders to end the misinformation about the 2020 census. Zack Schwartz helped create and run the team. He's the division chief of the IT Service Management Office at the Census Bureau and a finalist for a Service to America medal. Zack, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So how did you know about this problem of misinformation? How were you alerted to it?
So we understood what had happened in prior election years where information online, especially on social media, was not always accurate. And we were very concerned that leading up to the census, because of the polarization and commentary around a citizenship question, that things were going to get heated and that mis or disinformation could be found online that would discourage people from completing the census, which in the end only hurts their local communities.
And that actually did happen.
Correct. Yep.
I mean, there was rumors like, you know, they're going to report you if you're undocumented. People are going to come to your house and try to rob your house. You know, don't believe that they're census workers, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it was really disheartening to see some of the initial content online about the census. And so our team quickly mobilized and coordinated with social media companies, technology companies, fact checkers, and many other organizations to help fight the mis and disinformation online, to combat what we were seeing and make sure the spread never got very far online. And luckily, we were able to do that successfully.
So you were able to do it successfully, but were they, those technology companies, I mean, we're talking Facebook, Google, I
Yep.
mean, those are not small companies.
No.
Were they receptive to that?
They were. They really did end up supporting us. You know, it took a little bit of time, because the census only happens every 10 years, to educate people on the importance and what the data is used for. Billions of dollars every year in roads and infrastructure and schools, that every response does matter. And once we were able to get the education through to these companies, they truly knew that we needed to fight this information online, and they worked hand in hand with us to make sure the content they had on their platforms was accurate and was authoritative from the census.
Now, who's sitting there watching all this? Because that's a lot of stuff to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got several platforms, even things like Nextdoor, which is usually about, hey, I need to find a plumber, was talking about the census. So who's watching all this?
Yeah, luckily we had some really great artificial intelligence technology that was feeding information to my team and alerting us to things that we needed to know about, right? When celebrities posted misinformation, when information was starting to spread online and getting a lot of likes or shares, things like that really triggered our team to focus on it, and that's how we knew when an issue would be popping up. And luckily we were able to have a much smaller team because of this kind of AI that existed.
So what were some of the obstacles that you faced in getting this done?
The biggest obstacles were the conversations back in the middle of the decade explaining the census. It really is difficult for people to understand the impact that the census has. But even more so, once we went live with the 2020 census, the biggest issues were just having to explain to the general public, right, through conversations like the one we're having and others, about the dangers of listening to everything online and making sure that they fact-checked or that they reported information to us. We really worked hard to make sure it wasn't just us identifying information, but the public was helping to share information with us as well on things they saw on Nextdoor or in their WhatsApp group or other kind of closed platforms where misinformation can dangerously spread fast.
I wonder if you ended up having any problems with the workers going door to door. Was there any security issues? I mean, did anybody, you know, act out against those?
Yeah, as you can imagine, we luckily were able to combat a lot of the really violent things that we saw online. There were threats, things about unleashing dogs on Census Bureau employees, things that were very dangerous, and we were able to work closely with our platforms, local law enforcement, and certainly our folks on the ground to make sure that we knew where we needed to avoid, where we needed to make sure we addressed any issues, and luckily we were able to have only very minor incidents and very, very few of them across the entire country.
So Zack, I understand that your team's work became a model for the CDC.
Correct.
In fighting misinformation and disinformation about the vaccine, about the virus itself. Tell me about that.
Yeah, we had some great reach out and many conversations and direct work with the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention around fighting vaccine misinformation. And we were able to provide some of the best practices that we had. We were able to provide some of the technology that we used, and most importantly, the network. Who are the right people to work with at these, as you mentioned, very large companies in order to make sure that the information that people are seeing about vaccines online is authoritative and accurate.
You know, I mentioned that you're an award finalist for a service to America called the Sammys. What does that mean to you?
It's a huge honor, a recognition of unbelievable work that obviously not only the trust and safety team did, but so many others to make the 2020 census an unbelievable success. I think everyone is seeing, based on the accuracy that's coming out today, the independent reports, how amazing the census went, how accurate it was, and just a complete success overall.
Well, Zack, congratulations and thank you for your work.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.